What happens when 6 Cold War-era bombers, carrying 120 missiles, each one longer than a pickup truck, land 1,200 miles from Tehran? Iran's air defense commanders just found that out. The B-52 Stratofortress bombers that touched down at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar in late January 2026 aren't there for a training exercise. They're carrying the largest cruise missiles in the American arsenal, and every single one can strike deep inside Iranian territory without the bombers ever crossing a border. This is the most visible and most threatening military deployment the Pentagon has made in the Middle East in years, and the size of these weapons changes everything about how this confrontation plays out. Iran's air defenses are formidable. The S-300 system can track aircraft 185 miles out and engage at altitudes up to 90,000 feet. Their Bavar 373 system, Iran's answer to the S-400, covers major cities and critical infrastructure, capable of detecting up to 300 targets at once, tracking 60 simultaneously, and engaging 6 targets concurrently. Any bomber trying to penetrate Iranian airspace would face a wall of surface-to-air missiles, radar-guided guns, and fighter intercepts. But the B-52 seconds sitting at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar aren't flying into Iranian airspace. They don't need to. Each bomber carries 20 cruise missiles that can hit Tehran, Natanz, Fordo, and every major Iranian military installation without the B-52 ever crossing the border. That's the central tension. Iran has built a defensive fortress, and the United States just deployed a weapon that makes walls irrelevant. Can 120 cruise missiles, launched from bombers that first flew in 1955, neutralize Iran's most critical targets before Iranian defenses can respond? And more importantly, does Iran believe they can? On one side, 6 B-52H Stratofortress bombers, each weighing 185,000 pounds, fully loaded, powered by 8 turbofan engines, capable of flying 8,800 miles without refueling. On the other, Iran's integrated air defense network, hardened underground facilities, buried under 260 feet of rock, and a military doctrine built around asymmetric response, fast boats, proxy forces, ballistic missiles, hidden in mountain tunnels. Tehran has spent 40 years preparing for exactly this scenario. But here's where it gets interesting. The missiles themselves are so large, so heavy, and carry so much destructive power that the B-52's external pylons, designed in the 1980s, are being pushed to their structural limits. The Air Force is currently developing reinforced mounting systems because future hypersonic missiles will be even bigger. What you're seeing in Qatar right now is the maximum offensive payload a B-52 can physically carry. The AGM-86 air-launched cruise missile measures 6.32 meters, 20.7 feet, from nose to tail. Stand it upright, and it's taller than a basketball hoop. Lay it flat, and it's longer than a Ford F-150 crew cab. The AGM-158 JASSM, the smaller of the two primary weapons, still stretches 4.26 meters and weighs 1,020 kilograms, 2,250 pounds, roughly the weight of a Honda Civic's engine, transmission, and frame combined. These aren't tactical munitions fired from fighter jets. They're full-size cruise missiles with turbofan jet engines, folding wings that deploy mid-flight, and guidance systems sophisticated enough to navigate 900 miles of terrain using GPS, inertial navigation, and terrain contour matching. The AGM-86 carries a conventional warhead weighing between 545 and 1,360 kilograms, depending on variant, enough high explosive to collapse reinforced structures or obliterate command centers. Why does size matter? Because each external pylon on a B-52 wing can only handle so much weight and drag. The heavy stores adapter beams, reinforced mounting rails installed on each wing, support 6 missiles per side. That's 12 missiles hanging externally, creating the iconic Christmas tree silhouette. Add 8 more inside the internal rotary launcher, a cylindrical carousel that rotates to position missiles for launch, and you hit the maximum, 20 cruise missiles per aircraft. Do the math. 6 B-52 seconds, 20 missiles each, 120 total weapons positioned 1,200 miles from Tehran. Each missile has a range between 500 kilometers for baseline JASSM and 2,500 kilometers for ALCM maximum. That means every significant Iranian military target, from Revolutionary Guard headquarters in Tehran to the Natanz uranium enrichment facility to naval bases along the Persian Gulf, sits within the engagement envelope. Before we move on, drop a comment. Can Iran's air defenses intercept 120 cruise missiles launched simultaneously from multiple directions? What's your prediction? The AGM-86 ALCM was designed during the Cold War to deliver nuclear warheads against Soviet command bunkers. Its turbofan engine allows it to fly at 550 miles per hour, subsonic, deliberate, fuel-efficient. It hugs the terrain, flying as low as 100 feet above ground, using radar altimeters and terrain-following software to stay below enemy radar coverage. By the time Iranian radar picks up an ALCM, it's often within 30 miles, less than 4 minutes from impact. The AGM-158 JASSM takes a different approach. It's newer, stealthier, with a reduced radar cross-section roughly 1/100th the size of the ALCM. Its 430-kilogram penetrating warhead is specifically engineered to punch through reinforced concrete, capable of piercing concrete slabs up to 2.1 meters thick before detonating inside. That's critical when targeting Iranian facilities like Fordo, buried 260 feet underground inside a mountain near Qom. The JASSM's infrared seeker and GPS guidance deliver 3-meter accuracy, close enough to hit a specific ventilation shaft or tunnel entrance. Here's the kicker. These missiles don't rely on a single guidance method. The ALCM uses a combination of inertial navigation, gyroscopes, tracking position from launch, GPS satellite updates, and terrain contour matching known as TERCOM, comparing onboard radar scans to preloaded digital maps. If GPS is jammed, TERCOM takes over. If radar is degraded, inertial navigation continues. You'd need to disrupt multiple systems simultaneously to throw a cruise missile off course. Iran's defenses were designed for different threats. The S-300 and Bavar 373 excel at intercepting high-altitude bombers and ballistic missiles, targets that fly predictable parabolic arcs at speeds exceeding Mach 5. Cruise missiles are slower, lower, and harder to track against ground clutter. The US strategy isn't subtlety, it's saturation. Launch 40 missiles at Tehran's air defenses, another 30 at Natanz, 20 at Isfahan, 30 more at Revolutionary Guard facilities. Force the Iranian system to prioritize, to choose which targets to defend, to accept that some missiles will get through. What they did next is even more calculated. The B-52 seconds didn't arrive quietly. The Pentagon announced the deployment publicly. Photos circulated of the bombers taxiing at Al-Udeid, external pylons clearly visible, weapons load unmistakable. This isn't a stealth operation. It's a message written in 51 tons of high explosive. 6 B-52 seconds arrived in late January 2026, days after President Trump issued a public warning to Iran. The timing wasn't coincidental. Iran's support for Houthi rebels in Yemen, attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea, and escalating tensions over its nuclear program created what Pentagon planners call a credible threat environment. But here's where the strategy gets sophisticated. The B-52 seconds don't need to launch immediately to be effective. Their presence alone changes Iranian calculations. Every day those bombers sit at Al-Udeid, Iranian air defense commanders have to assume they could launch at any moment. That requires sustained alert status, radar operators on duty 24/7, interceptor crews ready to scramble, command centers monitoring airspace continuously. It's exhausting, it's expensive, and it creates gaps. The B-52 seconds create a perpetual dilemma without firing a shot. The bomber's range extends the problem. An AGM-86 ALCM launched from Qatar can reach targets 2,500 kilometers away, roughly 1,550 miles, covering every inch of Iranian territory, plus parts of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the entire Arabian Peninsula. But the B-52 seconds can also reposition. They can fly to Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, launching from the southeast. They can stage from Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE, attacking from the south. Multi-axis attacks from east, south, and northwest simultaneously would overwhelm even the most sophisticated integrated air defense network. Now think about this. Which direction would you defend if you were Iran's Air Defense Force commander? Drop your answer below. Here's the part that kept Iranian planners up at night. The B-52 seconds can launch their full payload, all 20 missiles, within 12 minutes. The external missiles release first, dropped from the pylons in rapid sequence. The internal rotary launcher spins, aligning each missile with the bomb bay doors, releasing them one by one at 30-second intervals. Within a quarter hour, a single B-52 can put 20 cruise missiles in the air, each programmed with different waypoints, altitudes, and attack profiles. Multiply that by 6 bombers. Assume they launch within a coordinated 30-minute window. That's 120 missiles inbound over Iranian airspace, spread across multiple approach vectors, traveling at different altitudes, hitting targets from Tehran in the north to Bandar Abbas in the south. Iran's integrated air defense network links ground radars, airborne early warning systems, and interceptor batteries through fiber optic networks. In theory, it's designed for exactly this scenario. In practice, no system has ever faced this volume of simultaneous threats in actual combat. The Israeli strike on Iranian targets in October 2024 demonstrated the vulnerability. Israeli F-35 seconds and F-15 seconds penetrated Iranian airspace, struck multiple locations, and exited without losses. Iranian air defenses fired interceptors, but targeting decisions took too long. Coordination gaps emerged, and low-altitude ingress routes exploited radar coverage gaps. A B-52 strike would involve 120 missiles arriving over a compressed timeframe, 10 minutes from first impact to last. But there's one problem nobody's talking about. The missiles themselves are reaching the limits of their design life. The AGM-86 ALCM entered service in 1982. The newest airframe is over 40 years old. While the Air Force has upgraded guidance systems, engines, and warheads, the basic structure has finite stress limits. Analysts estimate that 5 to 10% of cruise missiles experience guidance failures, engine malfunctions, or structural problems during flight. For a strike involving 120 missiles, that could mean 6 to 12 weapons failing to reach their targets. Mission planners compensate by assigning multiple missiles to high-priority targets. 4 missiles against Tehran's air defense headquarters, 6 against Natanz's centrifuge hulls, 3 against the Fordo tunnel entrance. Redundancy ensures mission success even with failures. But it also means Iran doesn't need to intercept every missile. If their air defenses can destroy 20% of the incoming weapons, 24 missiles, they might preserve critical infrastructure long enough to launch a retaliatory strike. Can 120 cruise missiles neutralize Iran's most critical targets before Iranian defenses respond? Yes, but with a narrower margin than the Pentagon would prefer. The missiles' range, precision, and payload give the United States the ability to strike deep inside Iran without risking pilots. The B-52 seconds capacity, 20 weapons per aircraft, creates saturation volume that no current air defense system can fully counter. And the strategic positioning at Al Udeid ensures rapid response capability if tensions escalate. But Iran isn't defenseless. Their integrated air defense network will intercept some missiles. Their underground facilities will survive partial strikes. And their retaliatory options, ballistic missiles, proxy forces, naval attacks in the Strait of Hormuz, remain intact even after a B-52 strike. This isn't about eliminating Iran's military, it's about creating enough uncertainty that Tehran calculates the costs of escalation as unacceptably high. First, size matters in modern warfare, but not how you'd expect. These gigantic cruise missiles aren't just bigger warheads. They're longer range, more survivable, and harder to intercept than smaller tactical weapons. The B-52's ability to carry 20 of them simultaneously transforms an outdated Cold War bomber into a modern strategic asset. But future hypersonic missiles will be even larger, requiring new pylons, reinforced wings, and potentially fewer weapons per aircraft. Second, deterrence relies on visible presence, not secret capabilities. The Pentagon didn't hide this deployment, they advertised it. Every photo, every public statement, every satellite image of B-52 seconds at Al Udeid reinforces the message: escalate and face immediate consequences. Iran knows the bombers are there, knows what they carry, and knows they can launch within hours of an order. Third, the Middle East power balance now depends on standoff weapons, not forward bases. The United States doesn't need troops in Iran, doesn't need aircraft carriers in the Persian Gulf, doesn't even need fighters penetrating Iranian airspace. 6 bombers, 120 missiles, and enough range to hit any target from international waters. That's the new calculus. The Air Force is already developing next-generation cruise missiles with ranges exceeding 1,000 miles and hypersonic speeds above Mach 5. Those weapons will be larger, heavier, and more destructive than anything the B-52 currently carries. The question isn't whether the U.S. can maintain this capability. It's whether the B-52 airframe, designed in the 1950s, can keep adapting into the 2030s and beyond. In the Pacific, the same strategy applies. China's air defenses are more sophisticated than Iran's. Analysts project that conflicts in the Pacific region will need dozens of cruise missiles in mass attacks, potentially hundreds per strike package. Without proper external pylons capable of handling maximum loads, the B-52 loses 60% of its carrying capacity. That's the vulnerability, not the bomber's age, not its speed, but its ability to physically carry enough weapons to overwhelm modern defenses. Now it's your turn. If you were planning a strike on Iran, how would you allocate those 120 missiles? Which targets get priority, air defenses, nuclear facilities, or command centers? Comment your top 3 targets below, and the best strategic breakdown gets pinned and featured in the next video. The question now isn't whether the B-52 seconds can strike Iran, it's what happens after the first missile hits. And nobody, including the Pentagon, knows that answer for certain.